OpenAI announcing plans to shut down its widely popular video generation app Sora just 6 months after it went viral, racking up 1 million downloads and penning deals with companies like Disney. Joining us now is SandboxAQ CEO Jack Hidary. Jack, welcome back. We know you sit at the intersection of quantum and AI, and I wonder how you read news like this, and whether consumer AI can ever be sort of viable and profitable as enterprise AI.
Well, good to see you, Sarah. Good to see you, Mike. Exciting times in the world of AI. I think there's a number of factors that led to the shutdown of Sora. First of all, you have the economics. It is really expensive to be generating all this video for every consumer that has an idea and pops in a prompt, but you can't really charge that much for it. Compare that to the economics of putting in a text prompt, getting back some text, much better economics. Video economics are really difficult. Number two, OpenAI wants to go public soon. It wants to get rid of any regulatory overhang, and the regulators and the legal challenges to Sora from many copyright holders were mounting. That became an issue for the company, and it would rather shut it down and even shut down its Disney $1 billion partnership than face all the regulation issues and the lawsuits that would come with pushing ahead with Sora. And so there's a number of factors there. Finally, there's competition out there. Anthropic, Gemini, very competitive with OpenAI. They need to focus themselves, particularly about to file an IPO. And so I think they realized it's better for them to focus on their core areas.
And Jack, you're joining us today from, I believe, Miami.
Sarah, that's correct. FII is today and tomorrow here in Miami. And the Saudis have shown up in strength, and despite the challenges of travel around the world right now. And so it's a full packed house. A lot of leaders from the global corporates, from the governments and others are all here. But let me say, Sarah, that the second half of this year, 26, is going to be very different than the first half. If you look at oil futures, just as one indication, how the markets are looking at this, we're in backwardation, which of course means that the spot price is higher than the futures prices. If you look at the contracts expiring September, October this year for West Texas Intermediate, they're being priced at under $80. So the markets, at least, are looking at this conflict as something for the first half of this year, but not moving into the second half. And then now we can talk about the blockbuster IPOs that are likely to happen in the second half as well.
You think it's coming, still coming? What are you expecting?
I do. I think that the momentum behind the SpaceX IPO, OpenAI and Anthropic both trying to edge each other out to get to the public markets before the other one. SpaceX is such a large IPO that the banks, for the first time that I can remember, have agreed not to go with the lead left position on the prospectus and then down from there in the syndicate, but to all be listed in alphabetical order. This is likely to be raising more than $50 billion on that day if the if the shoe is also exercised, the green shoe, probably reaching 60 to 70 billion raised on that day for that IPO, and valuations likely in the 1.5 trillion to 1.75 trillion at open, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Anthropic and OpenAI also preparing their public listing filings with the SEC, and I think we're going to see really interesting activity both in the AI field and the space and defense field for the second half of this year.
Jack, how is it necessarily bullish if SpaceX floats 3% of the company at this $1.5 trillion valuation, and it just is allowed to kind of go wild relative to really what has just been, a kind of notional valuation that's been imposed from the top?
Well, I think what you see is the rise of Starlink. People sometimes think of SpaceX as a rocket company, and certainly rockets are part of the foundation and platform for SpaceX. But now what we're seeing is SpaceX is moving into the application layer. They're thinking about what can we do now that we've taken the price of payload down by 70, 80% at SpaceX. What can they do with that in terms of application layer? One of those applications, of course, is Starlink. That's been a runaway success. The second might be data centers in space, and Elon has talked about that. So what you'll see from SpaceX is not just sending up rockets every few days, but you're going to see application layers that lead to recurring revenue versus the rocket revenue that comes and goes. You'll see recurring revenue coming from space, from Starlink, from data centers in space, and other applications on top of the rocket foundation.
Has any of this put a chill in investment or deal activity or anything, in your world when it comes to AI, or even when it comes to deals with the Gulf region, which were so hot?
I do think that the strong are really getting stronger here. And so what we see in times of challenge like this, that investors congregate in strong names, both public but also in the private sector as well. You're seeing access to these names, not only directly for those who have the balance sheet to invest directly on the cap table of these companies, but you're seeing funds such as Fundrise, Robinhood Ventures, Sora, and others giving access to a wider set of investors into these companies. And we're continuing to see very strong demand there as well. I think that the impact of AI on the economy and on the Global 1000 is really just beginning. We started with large language models. That is a great productivity tool. We're seeing the impact there. But as Jensen said in the recent global conference that he had last week in Silicon Valley, we're just now starting the role of physical AI, AI for the real world, AI that will make new medicines, new materials, energy, AI for risk management. All these areas of quantitative AI are just beginning. And I think that investors realize that we're really just in the first inning of the AI ballgame, and we have yet to see the full impact, even though we've seen some impact right now in terms of cogen and some productivity.
Jack, thank you for bearing with us through the breaking news and for discussing the range of topics in your world. We appreciate it. Enjoy Miami.
Great to see both.